We'll call this meeting to order. Is there any citizens' communication this month? No. Did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes for last month? Are there any
I
questions?
did, and I had a correction to it. It was listed Griffin twice, and instead it should actually have my name for vice chair.
Can you, I couldn't hear.
Oh, sorry. So in the notes from last time, it mentioned Griffin twice, and it should say board member Griffin and vice chair Braisner, but it said Griffin for both positions.
Do you know what section?
It was
or-
at the very bottom.
The very bottom.
I wanted double credit, you know?
Okay, it's 5A.
Yeah.
Y'all can
I
vote
see.
to approve the minutes as amended.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving minutes as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are approved. Okay, next, that takes us to the Friends of the Pflugerville Library report, and
All right. I'm going to read a prepared statement that Aaron handed me. He wasn't able to be here tonight. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. Good evening, Library Board. I'm Kimberly Reese, Friends of the Library Board member, and I'm also the acting treasurer. Financial information, the Friends financials are looking good. We had a really good sale in May. Our book sale on May 24th was very successful, pulling in numbers on par with the prior couple of sales. We tried a few different mechanisms in our checkout process with this sale. We've been using Square, which likely increased the new memberships as we're streamlining the accounting after the sale. We also had received a larger number of vintage and, oh, that's right, we got a large number of vintage and antique books from a donation that we set aside on the back and gave those interested an opportunity to bid on them and offer what they thought was fair, and that was great. I mean, we made some wonderful sales
Are
from
those
there.
sewing books?
They were just a bunch of different books, but they were all very old. Some of them were almost 100 years old. They were
Yeah.
really, really old.
We dropped a bunch of sewing books off, and my mom went through all her old books.
It may have probably been a part of the collection for sure. There was a whole Earth catalog, which I remembered from growing up in the 70s. It was like a 1972 edition. That was very interesting to
So
see.
I took those same books at half-price books, and they wanted to give me like $4 for all of them.
Yeah,
I was like, get out of here, I'll drop them off at the library.
Yeah, it was great, and thank you very much for that, because we had some good sales from it. We did receive disappointing news last week in regards to the grant application, the Moody grant that we had worked hard on earlier this year. It was declined. We will continue to apply with the organization next year and years going forward. In the meantime, we're looking at options to fund the program anyway, not excluding using the finances from our successful sales. So it could be that the Friends will just continue to fund the program at the elevated level. We're in discussions about that. We have no upcoming events other than our regular Friends Board meeting between now and when the next time the Library Board meets. We'll be participating in Pay It Forward at the end of the summer reading program on July 27th. I will be there myself to tell people about the Friends and how they can contribute. Our next book sale is on Thursday, August 22nd, right here at the library. Our next Friends Board meeting is next week on June the 18th, Tuesday, at 4 p.m. right here in the library. And as always, the meetings are open to all Friends members. Request for information from May 8th Library Board meeting. Oh, that's right. Okay. During the May Library Board meeting, a request was made for our membership numbers, and we committed to giving an answer during this meeting after getting approval that it was appropriate to share. It was deemed appropriate. As of June 12th, the Friends of the Pflugerville Library have 157 individuals on our books, of which 102 are current on their membership dues. There are approximately 4 of us in this room right now. We had some new joiners, which was wonderful. Mentioned earlier, our outreach during the last book sale was quite successful, adding more than 24 new memberships. That was true. We had a lot of new memberships last sale. These new members are likely only taking advantage of the 5 free books at every book sale for members promotion, but we did talk to a few that could want to be more involved. So we're planning an outreach to see if we can get more active volunteers, because we need some younger folks coming in and volunteering with the book sales and such. Thank you for allowing me to give this report. Are there any questions, concerns, or communications you'd like me to relay to the Friends?
So I have a little recommendation that you guys might be able to try. So on the application, when I used to be PTO president over here at Brook Hollow Elementary School.
Right.
And when we did the PTO, we used to have like a parent, kind of like a parent information sheet. And, like where they work, like what are their hobbies, what are they good at, the woodworking or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then when we'd have the carnival or something like that, I would go through the list of the parents that wanted to volunteer. And there was like a request at the bottom, say, hey, we don't want you to commit to everything, but can you commit to 4 hours a year? And just something like that. And that might be able to integrate people a little bit more, and you could, try to pick those specific talents.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great idea. We can go ahead and, I think I'll bring that to them at our next meeting, and we can talk about doing that, because we haven't really gone into specific details about how we want to run this outreach, but that would be a really good, I think that's a great idea. I love it. So I'll write that down and send it on to them. All right, any other questions? All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Our student liaison is not here at the moment.
Yeah, I need to look at my emails from him to see if he's coming over the summer, because I know that we had made that an option.
Yeah. Okay. And that takes us to the library budget process.
Okay, so the budget process is moving along nicely. It is, we met with Daniel and I and our office manager, Kim, and head of adult services, Betty McDowell, all met with the city manager and the finance team, and went through our budget and our projections for the 2024 budget. We're looking good. For 2025, there were no major changes or cuts except, and they said this last night in the city council meeting, we're probably not going to have any new positions. So we're probably not going to get those positions this year. But there's always a year after that. Luckily, right now, though, we do have some interns, which includes some high school interns, and they are sort of filling that niche that we were going to have the library pages do. So we're doing fine. And I think that we could probably tread water until next year. But other than that, no major cuts to the budget or anything. This year for projections, I'm pretty confident that we will spend what we said we were going to spend, at least up to 75% of it. We are getting 3 mini split AC units. So one will be in the book drop room, one's going to be in the IT closet, and one will be in the Joanne Thornton conference room, which is now a staff area because there's no AC in there and it's miserable. So those will be happening this year, and we are also finally going to get our roof addressed because it has leaked for a decade, I think. But we have an awesome person in facilities now, and she's really been just knocking out all of these little jobs that we've had. So yeah, that's it.
And next is the library director report.
Okay, so I gotta look at my reports. I can't ever remember what I wrote. And May was, we don't do as much programming in May because we're busy getting ready for the summer reading program, which started in June 1st actually, with the Maker Fest, and then the Maker Market was the next day after that. So we had a pretty good turnout for that. We had the teen anti-prom, or anti-prom, and that's our Snakes Prom, if y'all are familiar with that. Small business workshops continue, and let's talk about bees. And that is part of a series of programs. So we had a few, but we just not the volume that we normally have in May. And you'll see that again in August. We kind of take a break in August to prepare for LibCon, which is our biggest event of the year. Our numbers are looking fine. We're still a little behind in some areas, but we're ahead in others, so I'm not terribly concerned about that. You did ask, I think it was Matt asked about the book locker use, so I included that. I think that we got the book locker in, I want to say, it was either late February or early March, so it's not been a complete year. But so far, we have had 362 items delivered to the book drop, or the book locker rather, and then 262 were actually picked up by people. So that's just, we had 362 people reserve an item, say they wanted to pick it up at the book locker, but only 262 actually picked them up, which is fine. That's probably about average with our normal reservations anyway. And people seem to really love it. We did today actually get one of the location names changed. The choices are when you check something out, you can have it delivered normally to our reserve area, and you can come in the library and pick it up, or you can have it delivered to the locker, or you could have it delivered to an ADA locker within that book locker. But it was called Easy Locker, EZ. And people weren't realizing that that is actually our ADA locker, and they thought, oh, well, that's the easiest, we'll put it there. So some of our folks that needed that were not having that opportunity to have their items delivered there. So we did change it to ADA locker. So hopefully, like I said, we just changed that today, but hopefully that'll solve that problem. Last thing I have is our marketing and outreach person, Tiara, will, I believe she's planning on coming to next month's board meeting. And she is going to talk some about where she's at and getting the newsletter out, which is what you guys had asked for. And I think that's it.
We talk about the survey, doing another survey.
Oh, yeah, I didn't, I know we talked about that, and let's talk about it when we talk about the 5-year plan, because I think that kind of goes with that. All right, and that's it. Oh, last thing. Our head of youth services and I will be at the American Library Association annual conference at the end of this month.
Where's it gonna be at?
San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah, I've never been.
Stop by the Goodman Games booth.
Uh-huh.
Tell them Matt said hi.
All right, Goodman Games. All right.
Yeah, we'll have a booth there for the first time this year.
Cool. All right. Very cool.
Not my company, but it's a company I work for. Yeah. Tell them I said to give me a discount.
Do we have an update on like the timeline for getting the pods put together?
No, they can come basically at any time. It was just getting all the, dotting all the i's and crossing all the t's on the paperwork. That was because, you know, it's a long process, let's put it that way. But all of that has been done, so now I just need to set the date with them to come, and it shouldn't take more than a couple hours to put it together. Yeah.
That is impressive considering the amount of boxes that are open.
Yeah, not all of those are pods though. I did also order new chairs for the adult computer area and new tables. The tables have not come in yet, but the chairs have backs on them, so we're getting fancy. Because a lot of people can't sit for very long, there's no back on their chairs, so we do have those.
Any other questions? We will move on to the 5-year plan.
Okay, so Jillian, Larissa, Holly, and I met remotely, and we will meet again to look over the 5-year plan and make some changes. We didn't do a lot of changes to the intro part of it. Ignore the table of contents. That'll be updated when we complete the process here. So I need to update the numbers in the understate of the library. Okay. That's about all for that section. It's just minor updates as far as numbers go, and some cleanup of the paragraphs and stuff. Okay, so when we look at fiscal year 24, so fiscal year 24 is going to be where we tell everybody who reads this, I'm sure there's a ton of people that read this, how we addressed some of the things that we said we were going to do last year. So that's basically what is under these goals. It's pretty self-explanatory. When we get down to, I can't even read with my glasses on. Okay, when we get down to, I think it's the 5th bullet point on under goal 1. We are actually currently working with the planning department to xeriscape that area that we talked about, where the sculptures are out there. We're also working to get the courtyard. We're going to do a one-time cleanup with a local company, and then Daniel is working on a contract to address that courtyard moving forward, so that it'll have regular maintenance and weeding. I don't know how it fell off the radar, but somehow it wasn't included, and now we're addressing that. So that is not complete yet. I anticipate that at least the initial cleanup will be done within the next week or two. So I'm going to leave that in the 5-year plan, saying that is something that we accomplished, because hopefully by the time we turn this into City Council, that will be done. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about the goals and how we addressed them? At least goals 1 and 2 on the 5-year plan. Okay, so goal 3 is marketing and programming, and we will have something hopefully before the end of the fiscal year as far as a newsletter goes, so we can add that also. I need to rewrite the first goal, how we addressed it, because it's a little weird. There was the suggestion on goal 3, bullet point 1, 2, 3, that we break out the grants that we applied for and got, and that's fine, we can do that. Other than that, I think that's about it on that. On goal 4, that's where we're going to do this, put in something about a survey. So we didn't do one in fiscal year 24, so let's move that to fiscal year, well, unless I don't know if we'll have time to do it before the end of the fiscal year, but let's move that over to maybe fiscal year 25, and then we can do it right out of the gate in October. We haven't done one in a couple of years, so I agree that it's probably time to do another one. Let's see. The volunteer program. We have a new person. He's not new, actually. He's been here forever, Peter. But he is in a new position now. He's in Billy's old position, so he has been taking care of the volunteer program, and he has some ideas on how to sort of beef that up. So I think that's something we could put in fiscal year 25 also. And we'll just briefly talk about our numbers in fiscal year 24 for the volunteer program. We don't have as many volunteers as we used to, but a lot of that had to do with people not coming back after COVID. So that is slowly being built up, but we also have volunteers that in like different types of volunteers, I think now, because we do have students, and we have graduate students now in the library science programs that are coming in to do practicums and that sort of thing. So in that respect, we have sort of beefed that up, and these are going to be the people that are helping out with the professional. I hate saying that because I feel like all of our staff is a professional, but the degreed sort of tasks that we have to do at the library, in addition to having all of those people that do the day-to-day tasks that actually keep the place running. So it's not, we don't have as many people, but we have people who are working in more varied areas of the library. Okay, no major things on goal 5 or 6. I think we addressed all of those. And then goal 7 also is nothing, no great shakes on that. It's just us breaking out or outlining how we address these goals. So moving forward, we will probably get through the rest of the entire fiscal, or 5-year plan rather. We had, in the past, it's moved pretty quickly. So I anticipate by our next library board meeting, we'll bring you a draft of the 5-year plan. And right now I've made notes to include the survey and newsletter and the volunteer program as something to work on in fiscal year 25. Is there anything else that you guys would like to see in that fiscal year 20, or really any of the years? Bear in mind, the further we project out, the more, what is the word I'm looking for? The broader the scope, I think, is going to be, because it's hard to tell in 5 years, especially with things like technology, what's going to be the new thing. However, we had a discussion today in our selectors meeting about new formats that we're considering. I'm not going to say for sure we're going to do it, but that we're considering loaning out. Like DVDs is a format that's really going away. Although we will still have them here for those people, because it takes a little while for people to be able to afford the new technologies, et cetera. We have discussed this afternoon with one of our catalogers. She brought up how some libraries are circulating like Roku sticks that are preloaded, and that can be wiped, like the hotspots and other things that we loan out. Right now, as Daniel pointed out, it's a little labor intensive, but as the technology gets better, it's something that we'd like to look into. There are very few streaming services for libraries, for public libraries, because their whole thing is they want people to buy a subscription to their service. So we have Hoopla and we have Canopy, and there's another one, Acorn. We don't have Acorn though. So Acorn does like the PBS and BritBox and that sort of thing is on that. So we're just continuing to look at these different formats and different ways that we can serve the public as these technologies change. But trying to project out 5 years about, what is going to be down the pike is a little difficult. So that's why we're a little bit more vague, I guess, when we get further out.
Are you authorized to use streaming services for schools? Because I know when I was substituting at the elementary school, they'd have logins where you could access I don't know, history or whatever.
It depends on the service. So I'd have to look into it more, but my experience has been that we don't get free or reduced access to things like Netflix or what have you. Some of the more educational ones maybe, but even then it's a little shaky. But Acorn is definitely one that we've discussed before adding. I'm not sure. Acorn is really expensive, so if we did add it, we would definitely be looking at it. What we do when we add services, we give it 2 years, because a year really isn't long enough to be able to decide whether or not this is something that people are utilizing. So we give it 2 years. So it's very possible this year we might, at the end of the year, if we have money left over in our materials budget, purchase something like that. But we also want to continue to look ahead at what else is available for our people to go use at their home. I think one of the things with, and I don't know because I'm not an educator, but that's a good point, Matt. I'll look into that more because it's possible, I think, but I don't know. Do you know if each kid can access it from home? Or is it
Uh,
something they only can access
I
from the
don't
school?
know, since COVID and all that stuff
Yeah.
changed a lot, but I've got an almost daughter-in-law that's an English teacher in high school, so I can ask her.
Yeah.
And then, I know the teachers up at Brook Hollow, so I can,
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to give me that information, I'd be happy to look into it. And by I'd be happy to look into it, I'd probably have Charmaine, because she's way more knowledgeable about those sort of things, or David, look into it.
I think they can.
Yeah.
Are there any discussions about expanding the sorts of things that we lend out, like the hotspots and the laptops, if there are other things that people could use for new types of media, like if either marketing for businesses or social media, so cameras or ring lights and backdrops, microphones for podcasts?
We do have equipment that we loan out. Daniel and I actually were discussing the laptops and maybe not loaning laptops out anymore because we're down to 2 and they just haven't come back. And again, we're not using brand new laptops. These are laptops that we've had lying around. But the supply for us is also dependent on what's being retired in another department. So we're discussing it. We're not there yet, but we're discussing it. I think that is something we should pay more attention to, the different devices, I guess, that we could loan out. One of the problems I've had with things like the Kindles is that those also change very quickly. So, by the time we got 5 paper whites, they were on to tablets. So I think that if the board, since you guys are pretty techno savvy, have suggestions on things, or I just thought about Bill Harris, or magazines or journals that would be good for us to look at for those sort of things, and consider as devices we could possibly circulate. One big thing with a lot of our devices is privacy concerns. So it has to be something that we can wipe and then pretty easily, and then prepare for the next person to check out, because we don't want to compromise anybody's information.
And I think the cost is something to really consider, because like if it was a camera, let's say that costs
Yeah.
$1,000, like we don't really have a way to make sure it comes back.
Yeah.
So that's what we see with the laptops is they come back, but then sometimes they don't. So we just have to.
Yeah, it makes sense that it's a high-end equipment to then let somebody take home, but I
Yeah.
was just curious if.
No, that's
if
good
this
idea.
discussion.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a good idea, because there are things out there that, we can't possibly keep up with everything that you guys might know of that are not budget busters, that for example, we had, I forget we had little projectors or something that you could cast your presentation from these little devices. We had those, and they weren't that expensive, but they also weren't very popular, so we don't have them anymore. But yeah, so I think the idea of having non-traditional materials for people to check out is good.
Regarding the laptops that don't come back, do you guys send them letters, or what happens to the people?
Yeah, they get calls and letters and et cetera, like we would and emails, like we would for any material that doesn't come back.
They get more. I
Yeah.
make sure I
I hear
reach out to
him
them
in
a
there
lot.
talking to people. He's always very nice about it.
is there a precaution we can put on it, like a deposit to take out a laptop?
We had played with different ideas about it, but because we were doing it as an experiment, and the ones that we were loaning out were, they're end of life.
I think financially that's
Yeah.
difficult, being in a city to do a deposit and give
Yeah.
it back to them.
Well, you can just to make a temporary charge to a credit card, like $100.
That kind of stuff is hard for us to do
Is it?
through
It is,
finance.
because our integrated library system, which attaches it to the person, has traditionally not played nice with the finance software. We are working with finance right now on getting our room, we've just got new room reservation software, and it can integrate with the finance stuff. Our integrated library system isn't quite there yet, but hopefully we will have that eventually. Eventually, I would like to have where people can get a print card. They can pay, like 20 years ago when I was in graduate school, I could do this, so that would be nice to have. Where you could load a print card so that when you needed to print something, you just go over there and swipe your card and it would be fine. Also, same deal with credit cards. And we do have the equipment to do that, but again, the city's finance department was switching to a different system over the past year and a half, I think. Now that they're there, we can talk about doing things like that, where people could load a card or they could pay virtually, using, I don't even know what it's called. I'm trying to think of a word for, where you just scan your phone, all your stuff's on your phone.
Apple Pay?
Oh,
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Google
We can
Pay or
do-
Apple Pay.
We
Yeah.
can accept Apple Pay now on our readers. We didn't know that. Somebody tried it and it worked, and we told finance, and they're like, yeah, we can do that. So we are improving.
Yeah, so we're slowly getting there. We have the equipment to do it, and now finance has the software that will work, that will play nice with our stuff. And we're gonna be moving forward with that pretty soon, because we're kind of just waiting for the dust to settle after implementing that new software for financials.
One idea I was thinking about was, I know we do blood drives periodically. Do we ever do like a health fair, like blood pressure, flu shots?
We have, and we've done something with the big pink bus, I believe. It was actually, we worked with an outside group, a sorority, to get the big pink bus here for our mammogram that they put on. It was pretty cool. We have in the past. I know Daniel has worked with Austin Public Health, and I have also. They had not been out here in a while, though. Yeah.
We'd have to talk to them again, because a lot changed during the
Yeah.
pandemic, and they kind of
Right.
switched their focus.
Sure.
Because we had them out before the pandemic, but that's a good point. We should
It is.
start that
Something
conversation.
that we haven't done in
Yeah.
a while that maybe would be good for next year. for
That
the
would be
5-year
good.
plan.
Yeah. That just reminded me of something else, and now that thought is out of my head. It's been a long day. Oh, voter registration. Yeah, we do have somebody who comes twice a week, although she sent me an email saying she had to go out of town and she wouldn't be here for a couple of weeks. But she's generally here on Wednesdays and Saturdays. She was here Tuesdays and Saturdays, but she's switched it. We haven't done a lot in promoting that online, simply because it's hard to tell when she's going to be here. Like, these are the days that she's usually here, but sometimes she has to go do this or that, and she'll call in and say she can't make it that day. We are going to be doing a voter registration drive in, I think it's September or October, whenever our National Voter Registration Day is. I think September.
Seems right.
Yeah, because people have to register by a certain date before they can vote in the November election. So we do have a voter registrar who is fluent in Vietnamese, and I have someone who is fluent in Spanish who also will be assisting during that. So we'll have 2 or 3 English-speaking registrars and at least 1 Vietnamese and 1 Spanish-speaking. And we're going to be a polling place in November. I have already asked PD to stop by that day, because I imagine we're gonna have a lot of people. So,
I've got an idea for goal 3 for the marketing. Do we participate? When my kids were little, I know we used to have at least 2 parades. There used to be the Christmas parade, and then I think like a 4th of July parade. But I think there's just a Christmas parade now. Do you guys participate in the Christmas parade?
we have up until, I guess, COVID, and then we haven't since COVID.
Until our van exploded in the middle of the parade.
That's true.
Oh, no.
Our van, we call it Little Janky, it's our van. Right now, it's living over at Public Works because we drive it so infrequently that the battery dies. So they're keeping up with it for us, but it stopped dead in the middle of Main Street. Some lovely people pushed it to the side and we went on with our stuff.
I was thinking maybe we could get like book themed vehicles like the Batmobile or like, I don't know what the Stormtroopers drive around, but the Austin Stormtroopers, and maybe they got like a Star Wars vehicle.
That's a good idea.
Or like a Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or something like that. The Hearst from the Addams Family, and then you can have a different themed vehicle every year. But that'd be a great way to disseminate the newsletter. And also, if we had like a list of annual programs, say, hey, here's everything we did last year. Look for the events coming next year.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You can make it in the form of a bookmark.
That'd be great.
And
That's a great
newsletter.
idea.
Okay. Yeah, we just haven't done it since COVID, I guess, but we're not opposed to it. We definitely have enjoyed it in the past. I brought one of my beagles one time. I had to carry him after a while. Okay. Well, these are great ideas, so definitely we'll incorporate those into fiscal year 25 goals. We might be able to do the Christmas thing this fiscal year. We'll see if we have the bandwidth to do that, so, yeah.
Or if parks will let us be a part of it.
Right. We don't want you anymore. Okay, that's all I have on 5-year plan. Please ignore the grammar and the layout until the final draft.
So are we fine taking formal action until we have the rest of?
Yeah,
The
I
draft?
think you're fine.
In that case, there are no other items on the agenda. Does anyone have anything else? Okay, and do we have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And a second?
Second.
Meeting is adjourned.
All right.